I like this time of year, Kyle, because you kind of reflect of, okay, what has happened not only in your personal lives, but news-wise. We bring you a lot of stories throughout the year. We've talked about some already. We're going to get back and touch on those and then get to the number one story.
Some good stories and some memorable stories. It really has been a very busy year in the world of news. So let's kick off with our number 5 list if you're just joining it. Number 5 on the list, I should say, if you're just joining us this morning. We welcomed a new pope. We welcomed 77-year-old Jorge Mario Bergoglio from Buenos Aires, Argentina. He was named the new Pope, Pope Francis, in March of 2013 after a conclave at the Vatican and, of course, Pope Benedict's resignation. And lots of optimism with him and the direction he is going to take the Roman Catholic Church in the years to come, especially considering just comments he's made about even just gay people. You know, if someone is gay and he searches for the Lord, who am I to judge? And
that is the most important, I think, and the most salient quote, one of the most of 2013, who am I to judge? This message, can one man help recreate the identity for the church? And I think that warmth, that message of acceptance really stood out versus the condemnation that we've seen in past years.
Another warm, heartwarming story here. The royal baby, birth of Prince George Alexander Louis of Cambridge, July 22nd, 2013, at St. Mary's Hospital in central London. He is the third in line to succeed Queen Elizabeth on the British throne. And this story really captivated headlines before he was even born. I mean, it was international news when Kate went into the hospital with severe morning sickness in December of last year. And they even changed the laws of succession in anticipation of a potential baby girl, of course, because in history, boys have trumped girls in terms of heirs to the throne and where they stand in terms of the line of succession. But Britain went and changed the law so that if a girl is born before a boy, the girl could become queen before the boy becomes king.
I love how you know all of these nuances. One of his favorite stories of the year, and you know, when
ever.
And when we were chatting about what to do for Halloween, royal family, that was a close second of what we could have all dressed up as here on BT.
This is true. We went with Star Trek. That is not number 3 though on the list, right?
It was that big. No, it's not. What is number 3? Let's take it to space. Chris Hadfield. What a story. What a journey this has been. And here he was on the couch with Jody. An Astronaut's Guide to Life on Earth is a phenomenal book. If you didn't pick this up in 2013, he talks about his space adventure, and not just an ambassador for science, for music, but about going after a dream since he was a young boy. He talked about hearing Neil Armstrong and his adventures. And he just said this was something he wanted to do, and he made it so accessible. Him and his son Evan, through Twitter, connected with everybody. He shared with us the photos, the glimpses of what the world looks like from a completely unreal perspective.
And really making science accessible and cool just all over the world. But when you speak to the man and have a conversation with him, he really has a there is no such thing as a stupid question kind of attitude. And just a fascinating man. And you can sit and watch his YouTube videos for hours on end.
Yeah.
Really cool guy.
He gets it.
All right, let's move on to number 2 here. You knew he was going to make the list at some point. We have to talk about Toronto Mayor Rob Ford. This is our second choice. Okay, and here's the compilation of stuff. This debacle that the city of Toronto has been going through the last couple of months, it all began back in May when Gawker reported that there was video of him smoking crack cocaine that had surfaced. Toronto's police chief confirmed that video did exist and was in the hands of police later on. We still haven't seen this video. We've seen other videos of him in what he calls himself a drunken stupor. And then finally in November, there was about a 2 or 3 week period where every single day we just didn't know what this guy was going to say. But he eventually admitted he has smoked crack cocaine.
Most notorious mayor in the world. Like, look at all those late night talk shows that delivered the punchlines, that talked about this story. When we were down in LA on assignment in December, people were saying, oh, I love your mayor. Thinking, yeah, Canada has one mayor. That's Toronto. But Canada was put on the map in a big way. And as we talked about this story, the fascinating thing when I looked at it is Rob Ford passionately talked about his love for the city of Toronto. But then outside looking in, we all began to question, well, if you love the city so much, what is truly best for the city? And is the idea of stepping down the right direction? And many of us, myself included, thought, okay, it's time to step aside, but he resisted, and he's still in power. And what will happen in 2014? Maybe that's one of the big stories if he actually gets reelected.
Limited power, of course, right? Limited power, yeah. And Torontonians head to the polls in October of next year, and he says he plans to run for reelection, so we'll see what happens there. Speaking of elections, I think this is the number 1 story for us, at least here in BC this year. The stunning win of the reelection of Christy Clark and the Liberal government defeating defeating the NDP back in May. This was interesting because the polls were all against Christy Clark. They were all against the Liberals. Basically, there were headlines in the province newspaper that were saying what Adrian Dix could kick a dog at this point. He would still win the election. The debate that happened on April the 29th, when you saw the two leaders in there going at it after each other, the results absolutely were just shocking to watch them come in on election night.
Shows how far charisma and presentation go, because I'm with you. When you watch this debate, who emoted the most effectively? And it was Christy Clark that stood out. The way she spoke about her platform, I think, connected with many, and it showed. I mean, both of the candidates, Christy Clark was here, Adrian Dix was here, but the message, I think, got across much more effectively when Christy Clark would speak. And yeah, I was as shocked as you were and as many were with the turn.
But it's also a bigger question, you know, are polls accurate, or are British Columbians just a bunch of people that go and change their minds at the very last minute? So
true.
We'll see what happens, but don't believe everything you see on TV and on the radio when it comes to polls. I guess that's the lesson to take away from that.
A lot of great stories over the course of the last year. Of course, you can't encompass them all in the top 5. If you have yours, chime in on Facebook, share your thoughts on that.